Hmm? Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. So what I was explaining, maybe for a couple of days you might find it difficult to brainstorm the questions, but that doesn't mean you should leave that or you should skip that activity. Okay, because without that, it is very difficult to frame the answer. Every year UPSC will throw some unpredictable questions which are very open-ended, maybe static, but you should know how to tackle it, right? And it is not that difficult to think about the keywords, various keywords to generate the points, right? So I can understand you may compromise with the quality, but at least you should make sure that the quantity is there, right? That is what you can ensure. So if you are not scoring 4 marks, at least you will get 3 marks, right? So quality should be there. So I'll come to all the doubts. Uh, Shikhar, today I will tell what is the idea of conclusion, right? I have got a couple of queries related to the idea of conclusion. So in today's discussion, I'll brief about it, how you can think about it. Even I'll tell you while reading the question, you can easily frame the conclusion, like what will be the conclusion, you will get the idea about that, right? So let's start with the discussion. So the first question was, constitutional safeguards for scheduled areas reflect India's commitment to tribal autonomy. Assess the demand for Schedule 6 status for Ladakh in light of governance and regional aspirations, right? What is, what do you think will be the conclusion, introduction in this? Yesterday I have told you with, yes, tribal autonomy. Ravikant says contextual. Yes, contextual introduction, like what? Yes. What all you have written? Schedule 6, Ladakh demand. Yes. So both the things has to be there. It is not, see, some of you might have written only the context. Some of you might have started with the 6th schedule, right? But I always say set the tone, set the context, right? Yes, Ladakh demand, Schedule 6. So both the, the demand for autonomy under the 6th schedule, both the points has to be there, right? So it cannot be like just only about the 6th schedule, but at the same time we also have to mention the recent debate, right? So that is what I have written. The 6th schedule enables tribal self-governance via ADCs. Ladakh demand reflects similar aims of autonomy, participation, and sustainable development, right? So on a positive tone, we have to frame the introduction, because the tone of the question is not issue based, it's not negative. So make sure the tone of the introduction has to be positive. Now, as far as the demand of the question is concerned, right, what are the non-core demand of the question and what is the core demand of the question? First, we will break down the statement, and then we will identify based on the keyword how we can generate the points, right? But this particular question is basically, if you read the statement very carefully, it is a need based question, right? It is a need based question. So if any one of you have interacted with me before joining the camp, what was the template we used to discuss, especially in the need based question? Can anyone tell me? First of all, tell me how many subheadings do you think will be there in this, in the structure of this answer? 3. Significance, challenges, way forward, right? Huh? Yeah. Okay. So you are dividing that subheading into 2 parts, right? Okay. So you are saying the governance is one subheading, the regional aspiration, right? Okay. Anything else? See, I'll tell you this template and always keep it in mind, right? This is going to open up very important dimension, right? And you will find the questions in question paper, like at least 3 to 4 questions you will find. Jaideep says 3-6 schedule. What safeguards to enhancement of tribal autonomy by 6th schedule? Justification of demand, governance, and regional aspiration. Ashish Lodwal says yes. Yes, to some extent, you are on a right track, Ashish. See, whenever the question is need based, whenever the question is need based, right? Not necessarily you will find the word need. It can be in any form, right? But the tone has to be need based. For example, do you think India needs a separate or new population policy? Do you think India needs a new foreign policy, nuclear policy, right? Separate, or do you think separate budget for agriculture will resolve the agriculture issues? So in this question, need word is not used, right? But still, the tone of the question is need based, right? So whenever we address the demand of the need based question, always remember one thing: the first dimension should be why there is a need. We are talking about the need, right? We are talking about the reforms. Why are we talking about the reforms? Because some issues exist. Yes or no? Tell me. If there would not be any issues, why are we talking about the reforms? Why are we talking about the need? Are you getting my point? So the very first subheading should be, what are the issues? Why the Ladakh demanding, or why the people demands to put under the Schedule 6. Now, once the issue is addressed, right, then obviously there will be some significance also, right? There will be some significance also. Now, in this question, what is the significance? What is significance? Significance in the context of governance and regional aspirations. Governance and regional aspirations. However, there might be some implementation, what? Challenges. Many of you, I'm sorry, conflict where? Conflicts, like challenges, like conflicts will be a challenge only, right? So challenges, we will see what are the challenges, and then we are supposed to provide some suggestions, right? So now we have opened up the demand of the question in 4 parts, correct? So what we have done, we have just divided the statement. That is what I am saying since yesterday. Statement को break down करो पहले to get the broad subheading for your answer. So first we need to identify what is the issue, why there is a debate going on. Then what is the significance in the context of governance and regional aspiration, right? And then the third is challenges. अभी तक आप लोगों को लगता होगा issues और challenges एक ही हैं, right? कहीं issues लिख दिया, कभी challenges लिख दिया. I have seen this. Issues are those, Ravikant, safeguard. Safeguard, we will talk about safeguard in context of what? Please tell me. In suggestions, we will talk about it. So issues are those which exist or which are existing in the nature, right? Yes. Yes. But See, if you are going to write down that how does the Schedule 6 ensures the tribal autonomy, basically what will happen, there will be a duplication of point. Because by referring the constitution articles under Schedule 6, you will be discussing the governance and regional aspiration. Are you getting my point? आप reference किसका लोगे? If the Ladakh, try to understand, are you getting my point? So to avoid the duplication of point, I will avoid writing the autonomy, right? But still, some of you, if you want, you can write down. That is not wrong, but either you can use it as a part, in the introduction, then after the introduction itself, the connecting paragraph. Either you can use the flowchart where you can highlight how does the constitution ensure the tribal autonomy, right? After that, issue has to be there, right? So issues, significance, challenges, and suggestions, right? So this is what I have done. So first, it's about the introduction we have discussed. Then constitutional safeguard for tribal autonomy, that is what he was talking about, non-core demand, right? Then demand for 6th schedule, argument in favor. This we have divided into 2 parts again, like under the governance and regional aspiration, challenges and suggestion. Now, what was the second step we have discussed? After dividing the statement, what we are going to divide? Keyword, right? So this is all you can see, like constitutional vision, administrator autonomy, legislative control, like safeguard at various level, right? So if we are talking about the tribal autonomy, we have to think from a different in different aspects, right? So this is what we have written. So this is a non-core demand. Now, as far as the core demand is concerned, right, there are 2 ways I can write down. I think some of you might have done the same thing. For example, I have not divided. Okay, first let me see. Let me cover the issues first, right? This is what I was talking about. Why there is a demand for the 6th schedule? Because there are issues with the representation. There are issues with the culture rights. There are issues with the environmental rights. There are issues with the security, job, democracy, socio-economic development, right? So, इसके अलावा हम और क्या टेम्पलेट यूज कर सकते हैं? Just see. Apart from these are very, if just look at these points, right? In any state, this could be the possible issues only, right? At social level, at economic level, right? At cultural level, yes. Demographic issues you are saying, yes. So these are the same, right? So these are the issues. Now imagine how they are curtailed, or why there are these issues, right? So no legislative assemblies post UT status, Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council weakened. Similarly, cultural rights, fear of losing tribal identity without legal safeguards, right? Ecology, fragile glacial ecosystem threatened by mining, mass influx, because you all know that the development activity has started since the UT status has been given, right? So there is threat to the environment also, right? Even no public service commission, youth anger over lack of recruitment, right? So these are some issues, and that is the reason why they are demanding the 6th schedule, right? So this part is very, very important, which I think many of you might have missed. Has anyone addressed this part in your answer? 3 parts? No, this part I'm talking about. Okay, good, Shreya. Jaideep, yes. Ashish, yes. Yes. So once you will reverse it, you will get the... Yes, because significance I'm going to divide under the governance and regional aspiration. right? Ria says, okay, good. All who have addressed this, then good. It means you are learning to divide the statement of the question. Then, without dividing the significance under the regional aspiration and governance, either we can write down the points like this, right? Or either, see, this is again, this part is very important. If you are thinking about the regional aspiration or governance, those are two keywords, right? Have you tried to break it down, or have you tried to generate the template under the governance and regional aspiration? Has anyone tried to do it? Are you on the same line? Right? So these are the two keywords where there was a scope, right? As far as the governance is, like, what are the component of governance? Just apply some logic, right? Autonomy and local self-governance, protection of land rights, resource management, political representation, legal and judicial safeguard, development with cultural sensitivity, institutional capacity building, right? These are all aspects of the governance only, right? And as far as regional aspirations is concerned, what could be the regional aspirations? Region consists of what? Culture, economy, right? So this is point I have written. Cultural protection for demographic changes, recognition of tribal status, right? Safeguarding traditional practices, then grassroots mobilization and support, addressing feeling of marginalization, economic aspiration, strategic and security concerns. So from security point of view, from culture point of view, right? From economy point of view, from identity point of view, we can divide this regional aspiration as well, right? So this is the idea. So इसीलिए मैं बार बार बोल रहा हूं, try to brainstorm the PYQs, right? And just try to understand one thing, right? Whenever you see the question related to the governance, it is not only about the 6th schedule, it is not only about the Ladakh, right? The same template you can apply for or in any question as far as the governance is concerned. Yes or no? These keywords you can use in any question. So when you will start brainstorming all these words, keywords, statement, you will see their application is so wide. Their application is so wide, right? So this is how it should be done. After this, what about the challenges? At what are the various challenges we are going to face at what level? Again, break it down, the challenges. Yes. Just imagine what will be the challenges, because right now the status is UT, right? It's a Ladakh is a union territory, right? So just tell me what will be the challenges at different level. Regional security level challenge, okay. What else? Security, development, how development? Wait. How? It's still happening. No, but when, but we are talking about the challenges. Challenges, matlab 6th schedule mein, if we will try to put the Ladakh under the 6th schedule, what will be the challenges we will face? Or what will be the, Administration challenges, coordination with UT governance. Okay. Yes, constitutional amendment challenges, constitutional levels or legal challenges, right? I will come to the development part also, right? How it is. Constitutional. What else? How? More funds to be allocated. Government, I think, in Ladakh is already spending a lot of fund for the development, for the employment generation. Political challenges, I will like least prior, like it's not prior. Ecological challenges, yes. Why? No, no, we are not going for the development, right? अगर हम 6 schedule में डाल देंगे तो even the development will be restricted, right? So it will be good for the development. Uniform application of laws means? Yes, that is a good point. We can include. Yes. If there will be a less control of the central government, that is the reason we are talking about the security concern. Generic, ठीक है, point सही है, but like I'll not give the priority to that point, like demand by the other states and all, right? So let's see what are the various angle. Just try to understand this. Constitutional and legal feasibility, administrative complexity, existing development measures already in place, economic complexity, security and strategic command, sovereignty and diplomatic leverage, right? So constitutional and legal feasibility we have seen. Administrative complexity, how? How administrative complexity? Yes, because we will be moving into the decentralization kind of thing, right? So there will be different layer of administration. So right now there is control of center, right? When the ADCs will be there, right? So there we might face the administrative complexity. Now existing development measures already in place. So government is already spending in the infrastructure, in the development, right? Whether it's social infrastructure, physical infrastructure. So there is a debate that if the UT status will be removed, then existing policies might not help, right? Then economic complexity. How economic complexity? Economic challenges. Right now it is under the central government, so central government can directly devolve the fund, right? So that's how we can see that security we have seen, and sovereignty and diplomatic leverage. UT status strengthens India's direct administrative control. If UT status will be removed, then direct control will not be there. So at various level, again, we have thought, correct? Halt national integration, assimilation, decrease centralized financial power. Yes, Jaideep, you're right. So this is how you have to think. मैं बार-बार एक ही चीज I'm trying to explain. Think practically, not theoretically, right? We have not discussed anything in this answer which is very technical. It is pure application based question, right? You all have read the 5th schedule, 6th schedule, you know what happens. Don't go into the facts, right? We all know the basic facts. You just need to keep like 5-6 keywords in your mind to frame whatever. Let UPSC ask any question, right? You just have to keep few keywords in your mind to frame the entire answer. Administration, environment, culture, identity, right? Finance, security, integration, that's it. Shreya, that's the reason we have talked about it, right? To think of like brainstorming say सारे points you will be able to generate. Now, what is the idea of conclusion? Suggestions. At what level again we can think about the suggestions? See, in such kind of questions, first try to understand how to think. See, you don't have to be judgmental when you are writing the suggestions, right? Whatever is the existing mechanism, try to strengthen it, because this issue is still being debated. It is not yet finalized, right? So whatever is the existing mechanism, you have to think about it, how we can strengthen it. Now at various level we can think about it, at environment level, at social level, cultural level, legal level, economic level, right? Think practically. If suppose you are a part of the Ladakh, right? You are a resident of Ladakh, or maybe you are a part of the government. What will you do? You will take care of the culture, you will take care of the environment, you will take care of the development, right? You will try to maintain the harmony, you will think about the security of the state, right? How are you going to do it? That is the step you have to think, but at least you got the dimension, right? So that is the idea. Legal status, use Article 371 for tribal safeguards, example in Himachal Pradesh. Middle path we can use, right? Then empower Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council, right? Grant legislative power, example Bodoland mein, right? Then cultural shield, restrict land sales to locals, example Himachal land laws, right? Then eco protection, notify eco sensitive zones, right? For example, Zanskar Glacier Belt. Then local voice, ensure LAHDC elections and consultation, right? Dual governance, retain LG for security, decentralized civil power. Then tribal jobs, create local public service commission, expand ST quotas, right? So at different level we have thought to administer or for the administration of Ladakh. Whatever is current position, just give suggestions for the same, right? Don't go into it should be given, it should not be given, like this. Whatever is the existing mechanism, talk about it. Public level, taking locals in the development process, giving local skill development. Yes, all these points we can include, right? So this is the idea. Now let's pick up the second question. Second question, you will be let's conclude. So conclude, you all know Schedule 6 reflects India's commitment to protecting tribal identity and autonomy within the democracy. However, this autonomy must be balanced with practical safeguards to align with national security, right? So this second line is very important. Like I have told, don't sound you are delivering a judgment here. You might have done this in your conclusion. किसी ने लिखा है कि बस खाली पहली लाइन without addressing the second part. किसने किया है ये? This line. How many of you have skipped this part and only given the judgment? Yes, Schedule 6 reflects India's commitment to protecting tribal identity and autonomy within the democracy, right? So national security should be also considered. I hope this is clear. Now the second question, I am sure you might have, how many of you were comfortable with this question? पढ़ा था किसी ने? Everyone? How many of you were able to apply the template? How many of you were able to apply the template in such kind of questions? Suppose you don't know anything about the WAC amendment. You don't know anything, right? Still, how many of you were able to use the template in such kind of questions? Okay. Can anyone share with me, like, if we have to frame the answer without actually knowing what has happened or what are the key features of the amendment, right? How are we going to think about it? Because I'm interested in thought process. As of now, for next couple of weeks, I will be more interested in the thought process rather than the content itself. So, but first tell me, what is the thought process you will apply? No, to generate the point, basically. What thought process are we going to apply? I'm sorry? There are two stakeholders in this. In this entire debate, there are two stakeholders. Who? Yes, government and Waqf board. Institution, religious institution, right? There are only two stakeholders. Let's try to understand in a very simple way. In a very simple way. Even you can include this strategy when you are trying to analyze any particular act or bill, right? There are two stakeholders. One is religious institutions, and the state, right? Now, after the amendment, first of all, why the amendment is there? Can anyone tell me? So what? Because if the religious institution is governing the Waqf property, right? So we can think of different issues or we can think of issues at different level, right? There could be issues at administration level, right? At financial level, right? At management level, right? At composition level, because women were also excluded, right? So there were various issues. Even there were issues of encroachment on the government property by the Waqf board, right? Without registration and all, right? So because of all these issues, the government has to intervene in this matter. Now, legislative intervention in religious matters, yes. So now just try to think like this, right? Religious institutions had some autonomy, right? State intervened and government ने ये autonomy ले ली इनसे, लाओ हमको दे दो autonomy अब, right? Now you can think this autonomy wala part. Can you generate the point now based on the autonomy? What kind of autonomy do you think the religious institution might had to govern the Waqf property? जितनी भी हम लोगों ने अभी बातें की हैं, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव, फंक्शन, फाइनेंशियल, these were the autonomy only, right? ऑटोनॉमी नहीं होगी तो मिसयूज किसका करेंगे वो लोग? ये भी तो सोचो भाई, अगर ऑटोनॉमी नहीं है तो मिसयूज कैसे हो रहा है उसका? तो जितनी भी हमने अभी whatever the various angle we have explored which were being misused, the government has taken all those autonomy. Based on that, we can generate the point. Article 26 also we can mention. Yes, I will come to that also, right? So first of all, in introduction, I think you all know in this what to write, right? Contextual introduction, because the question is based on the current affair. For example, like about the recent legislation. Don't write about the Vaq property only, right? So the idea of introduction is Vaq property lie at the intersection of C. Now in this question, this part, as far as the demand of the question is concerned, this first line, Vaq properties navigate a complex intersection of law, faith, and governance. This part I will address in the introduction, right? Because this question is 10 marker. I already have how many demands? 3 demands, right? Core, which I have to address. So if I will start explaining this part, I will not have a space, neither time. So I will try to address this part in the introduction itself. But if you think you have to address this part separately, what will be the answer? What will be the answer? Tell me. I'm sorry. I think many of you might have addressed the first statement separately in your answer. किया है किसी ने? क्या किया उसमें? And this that identify the properties. What are those properties? And then the recent legislative proposals. What are the proposals of features you are talking about? Yeah. You are talking about the features. Feature is a non-core demand. We will, based on the features only, we are going to open up the arguments, right? But this complexity, how are you going to establish? Don't go into the concept of secularism. Principally distance model you are talking about. I don't think so, because if you are going to mention the principally distance model, then you have to write the 7 principles also, right? So half of the page will be gone. Yes. In India, after the government, yes. Yes, for the same reason, the government has legislated, right? So that could be the perfect introduction, no issues. That is a good introduction, no, good point that it constitutes the second largest. Yes. So, see, Vaq properties navigate a complex intersection of law, faith, and governance. So this is what we have discussed in the very beginning, issues. There are various issues. That is the reason why it is a complex. Because Vaq property, basically it's a religious matter, right? It is a religious matter, right? But it is also governed by the state also, right? Even the law is there to govern the property. So institution is there, law is there, even state is there. That is the reason it's a complex issue, right? So I will not get into the depth of this argument. Faith as Vaq property are dedicated for religious purpose, law as there are parallel legal regulation of the Vaq Act. Yes, governance management of Vaq assets via transparency and rule of law. Yes, Sejal, very good. Absolutely right. But you don't have that much of space and time, right? But yes, you are good. So I will address this in the introduction. Yes. Now, question says critically examine. So we all know that what will be the impact of the amendment, right? That is what we have to focus on. But at the same time, since the word is critical, we have to address both the sides, right? So both the sides may. Now, if I have to generate the point, right, I will read the question. critically examine recent legislative proposal related to work management and assess their implication. Read this part. Assess their implication on the religious institutions and state control, right? Implications can be positive, it can be negative. Yes or no? But the point is, out of or among state and religious institution, right? These are the two stakeholders. Can we write negative implications for the state? Obviously no. Otherwise government खुद क्यों करेगी? Right? If अगर इस तरीके से सोचो, if the government has made the law, why there will be a negative implication? If there will be a negative implication, obviously the government will not include that feature. So this move or this negative implication will come under religious institution because they have lost the autonomy, right? So negative implication in the context of religious institution and positive implication under state. So identification of a stakeholder in this question is very important to understand or to generate the point, right? Now you have to understand what are the main features. Even if you do not have a feature, this is what exactly I was talking about. Even if you do not know the features of the act, right? At least you can fill the pages. You can fill the pages, right? How can you fill the pages? On the same parameter. As far as the administration is concerned, as far as management is concerned, as far as the control is concerned, as far as the concept of secularism is concerned, as far as composition is concerned, as far as transparency is concerned, as far as accountability is concerned, right? Because all these benefits government will be able to achieve through the regulation of work property. But at the same time, all these autonomy, these religious institutions will lose. So even if you do not have a solid point or if you are not able to recall the features, this is how you can generate the point, right? I will show you. Like this. Sorry. These are the features of the act, right? Like retention of work by user, revocation of work board, unilateral power, board composition, non-Muslim and women members, right? Because in board there is a provision to include the women in council. In board there will be a non-Muslim members. In council there will be representation of women also. Then there is a provision to appeal the High Court, removal of Muslim experts from tribunal, survey by collector, right? Not survey commissioner. Digital portal, limitation act, inheritance safeguard, 5-year religious practice clause, financial reforms and audits. Now just look at these features, right? Now, can you categorize these features under the various aspects, whatever we have discussed, like this? These are the broad category. These are the various aspects I'm talking about. Legal and educatory control, land and asset control, administrative control, institutional composition and autonomy, financial oversight, religious practice regulation. So these are some broad template, right? Now you can pick up the features and you can link, right? For example, legal and adjudicatory control. Which point we can write down? Appeal to High Court, right? Is it a positive implication or negative implication? Positive implication, right? But how it could be a negative implication? Yes. Legal autonomy, loss of legal autonomy to the religious institutions. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Similarly, for example, administrative control, which point? Yes. Even digital portal and survey. Yes, even yes. Uh, okay. Removal of Muslim experts from tribunal. Yes, financial reforms, right? So this is how you can link. Now, just by using these 5-6 aspects, I can relate all the features. I can generate the positive implication. I can generate the negative implication. I will put positive under the state, negative under the religious institutions. Everyone clear on this? Clear? So always think about generating the points, generating the templates, right? Don't think about the time when you are brainstorming the questions. Even if you are spending 15 minutes on any particular question, it's fine. At the end of the day, what matters to me is whether you are sitting with a single question for 15 minutes. Outcome does not matter at this stage. ठीक है, brainstorming हम लोगों ने कभी की नहीं है, तो obviously it will take time in the initial phases. But at least try to apply some logic. So this is the idea, right? So I will not spend time on it. I hope you got the clarity. So using these points only, I have framed my entire answer like this. Implication on religious institutions, block future faith-based and claims, shrink Waqf board autonomy, dilutes religious exclusivity, delays but wider oversight, undermines faith-based ruling, lowers community confidence, centralized sacred data, hinders land recovery, like this, right? Similarly, implication on state control, guard public land, check misuse of power, expand state presence, boost judicial reach, adds neutrality, bureaucratic grip on land, enables state tracking. So same features I have used for positive and negative implication. Why I have to put extra effort? So this is the idea, right? Then, since the question is critical command word, and yes, one thing, I'll tell you one, whenever the question says critical, what does it mean? Critical, examine, analyze, discuss, evaluate, comment, right? These command words are already critical command words, है ना? Means you have to address positive and negative, right? You have to address both the sides of the coin. But when we add critical, what does it mean? कि और ज्यादा नेगेटिव लिख दो, ऐसा है कि या ओनली फोकस ऑन नेगेटिव? एनीवन? बैलेंस्ड? इसमें भी तो बैलेंस करोगे. Critical means don't take a side, Pranjal. You are not supposed to take a side unless the question is opinion based. Critical means more depth. Just more depth. Remember this. right? It is more depth. As simple as that. ठीक है? और इसमें ज्यादा दिमाग नहीं लगाना है. You have to basically scrutinize the topic in more depth when the question says critically analyze. You have to dig deeper into it. You have to critically link the points. So if you really want to understand the meaning of all the tail words, there is one video on the Vajiram YouTube channel related to the keywords or the tail words. In a very layman terms, I have explained the importance of all the keywords and how your structure will change in your answer, right? So watch that video. After that, now, so balanced approach, how I will do the balanced approach: by community engagement, institutional capacity, technology use, women empowerment, sectarian autonomy, regular audits. So at different level, again, I am going to provide the suggestions. And this is what my balanced approach is, right? Obviously, if some community, religious community is being heard, I will definitely going to involve community. At the same time, I will also ensure the institutional capacity, right? For example, training of Waqf board and official for efficient property management. I will use the technology for the land mapping and all. Or, for example, Kwame Waqf board Tarakati scheme for transparent monitoring, women empowerment, right? Sectarian autonomy allows separate boards for Bora, Aga Khani, and Shia communities, right? Regular audits should be there. So these are points I can use for the suggestion. And in the last, as far as the conclusion is concerned, Waqf reforms must uphold Article 26 rights while ensuring transparency. As the Sachar Committee emphasized, institutional reform must build trust, not suspicion. Why the Sachar Committee was formed by the government? Yes, to review the condition of minorities. Did they support the Waqf amendment or not? It did not. Overall, like the outcome, they did not. Right? Here we did not separately mention critically analysis. We have analyzed the entire topic critically. What do you mean? We have gone into the depth of each and every feature. That is what the critically analyze means. Implication is same thing, right? See, implication is we are analyzing what? Ravneet, we are analyzing the feature, right? See, critically analyze means what? Analyze means क्या होता है? Basically, analyze tailword is basically breakdown of the topic into its constituents and establish cause and effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship. And this effect is nothing but the implication. This effect is nothing but the implication. Implication, we have discussed the positive and negative. And causes were the features or the amendment. Because of the new amendment, the effect was visible in the form of implication. Now you got clarity, Ravneet? So that is the reason I am saying go through the keyword first. Only then you will understand what does it mean. Right? Now, I will give, many of you have asked me, there are issues related to the conclusion, right? So I'll give you a very quick idea how to basically think about the conclusion. How to think about the conclusion, right? Usually, when we address the demand of the question, right? What is the general approach in any answer? We write the significance, right? We discuss the significance or positive side, we talk about the challenges, right? We discuss the suggestions, and then we conclude, right? This is the very general flow in your answer, right? In most of the answer, we talk about the features, its significance, challenges, way forward, and conclusion. So what is the idea of conclusion here? Whenever you are reading the question, right? Obviously, in the question, either there will be some issues, either there will be some issues, or either there will be some significance. Question will be based on two things, issues and significance, right? Significance matlab, for example, question is discuss the significance of biotechnology in agriculture sector, right? Discuss the significance of biotechnology in agriculture sector. Issue, so this is a significance based question. Issue based question is critically analyze the application of modern technology in agriculture sector. This question is kind of negative tone. Critically आपको सोचना है कि positive भी implication है, negative भी implication है. But in both the cases, right? What is happening in significance based question? We are talking about the use of biotechnology in agriculture sector. So when we will start using when we will start exploring the biotechnology or application of biotechnology in agriculture sector, what will be the broad outcome? What will be the broad outcome? That is your conclusion. So biotechnology को जब हम explore करेंगे agriculture sector में, so it will ensure what? Food security, sustainable development goal. That is the broad outcome we will achieve. Similarly, when the question is issue based, right? So we discuss the issue, we provide the way forward. Why do we give the suggestions, or why do we give the way forward? We give the way forward to address the issues, right? So after giving the way forward, if the issue will be resolved, what will you get? What will you achieve? Again, the broad outcome, broad objective. It could be in the form of SDG goals, India's commitment for climate change, international obligation, constitutional values, environmental values. It could be anything. So conclusion is the broad outcome when that issue will be resolved. And if the question is not issue based, still we can expect some broad, or we can achieve some broad objective, right? I hope now clear, everyone. What is the idea of conclusion? So it should always reflect the broad outcome, right? And now it can be in the form of quotes, it can be in the form of phrase, it can be in the form of PM statement, right? And for that, I must say, if you really want to get good phrases, good quotes, please refer PIB. You will get very good quotes or phrases at least, or the broad goals to be achieved. Because whenever our prime ministers are, they are talking about something, whenever he's talking about some reforms, without the broad objective, he will not discuss anything, right? There must be some broad objective which he wanted the nation to achieve. So that broad objective will become your conclusion, right? So now let's move on to the third question. Expanding investigative authority strengthens national security but raises concern over civil liberties. Discuss the implication of the Supreme Court decision enhancing the national investigation agency's authority to probe crimes related to major schedule offenses. First, quickly tell me, what are the different subheadings we are going to have in this answer? How many subheadings? Tell me quickly. How many subheadings you guys have used? Yes? Three? Tell me three. Current issues? Okay. What else? Okay. So this is the first part. This is the first heading you have used. Discuss the implication of Supreme Court's decision enhancing the National Investigation Agency authority to probe crimes related to major schedule offenses. Haan. What is the second heading? Okay. Uh-huh. Don't you think implication will be covered in the first two parts itself? Implication, positive implication will be for state, negative implication for? So you are duplicating the points. I'm sure आप अपने आंसर पढ़ो, आपको duplication मिलेंगे. भाई अगर स्टेट कुछ काम कर रहा है तो वो नेशनल सिक्योरिटी के लिए तो कर रहा है ना, राइट? बट उसके इम्प्लीकेशंस, नेगेटिव इफेक्ट किस पे देखने को मिल रहे हैं? ऑन इंडिविजुअल लिबर्टीज. There will be 2 points. There will be only 2 points, and the third will be suggestions how to balance the national security with individual rights or the civil liberties. I'm sorry? Schedule? No. You can put that in the introduction itself. In the introduction itself. I will show you. Right? So the expanding investigative authority strengthen national security. This part, expanding investigative authority. This part I will address in the introduction itself. This part. I will not address it separately, because if I will start writing the scheduled and non-scheduled crime, there is a huge list. And UPSC is not interested in knowing or checking whether you know the list of schedules. अगर ऐसा हो तो UPSC prelims में पूछ लेगा वो. What are the scheduled crimes and non-scheduled crimes? Right? What are the powers NIA have? अगर उसको पूछना ही होगा तो prelims is there ना. UPSC is more interested in analysis. What will be the implication for the states and what will be the implication for the civil liberties, right? So you understand what mistake you have done. So identifying the stakeholders in the question is very important. When there is a debate going on balancing the two sides, right? So don't get confused. Otherwise, you will end up with writing duplicate points, right? So introduction, as you can see. So structure I have told you. Now the task will come to you. Supreme Court decision enhancing the National Investigative Agency's authority, positive implication, negative implication. There's merit for national security, concern for civil liberties, balanced approach, as simple as that. In Ankush Vipin Kapoor versus NIA, the Supreme Court clarified that the NIA power extends beyond just scheduled offenses to cases with links to terrorism, such as drug trafficking and hawala operations. This broad interpretation, however, raises concern over the potential violations of civil liberties. Right? Clear? I have included the crimes. I have included the recent case also. Yes. So this is what you can write in the introduction, right? Now, इसका आंसर मैं नहीं बताऊंगा अब. Now you have to tell me, right? Generate the template points. How this step will have a positive implication on national security. Enhanced jurisdiction. What else? Huh? Tackling modern crimes. Yes. What else? देखो, try to understand this. This National Investigation Authority, it's a central agency. It's a central agency, right? Why do you think the power has been or power is expanded? Power क्यों दे दी extra उसको? Yes, it will. So positive सोचो, better coordination, better administration, better use of finance, right? Tackling advanced crimes, even better, huh? Yes, efficiency, use of expertise, use of digital technology and all. Yes, legal, you can say from the legal point of view. यही सब तो होगा. Coordination, cooperation, administration, financial, digital, right? Efficiency, high faith of public on NIA. बेनीवाला इतना basic point नहीं, please. Trust, right? So this is how you have to think. इसमें you don't have to apply the rocket science, because tomorrow you will become a civil servant. These minute things you have to think on your own, right? And it has to be spontaneous when you are discussing, when you are generating the points, right? So this is what I have done. For example, see, implication for national security, various aspects or dimension: strategic, operational, jurisdictional, specialization, speed, uniformity, preventive and deterrence, technology and surveillance, international collaboration also, for example, with Interpol and all, right? And legal backing. Legal backing kiski hai? Supreme Court has given the guidelines, right? So there is a legal backing also. So these are the various dimensions we can think of. So now, if the questions come from CBI, NIA, you can, or see, these are aspects of national security. So whenever question comes related to the national security, you can use this template. At various levels, start thinking. Understood? अब तो पॉइंट जनरेट कर लोगे कि नहीं कर पाओगे? Everyone, right? Now, as far as negative implication of on civil liberties are concerned, now tell me, what are the various aspects you can link with the violation of civil liberties? हाँ हाँ, और आगे जाओ, वो तो पहला पॉइंट सबका सेम ही है. What else? Overreach. What else? Yeah, personal liberty ko. Why are you not able to break down personal liberties? Like, just keep like imagine. कल को एनआईए आती है आपको पकड़ लेती है. चलो अब. हाँ हाँ तो digital arrest is different thing. सबसे important, due process and natural justice, right? There could be a violation of Article 14, 19 and 21, golden triangle, right? There is a violation of golden triangle, 14, 19 and 21. Right to privacy, freedom of expression, association, chilling effect on the freedom of speech, right? Targeting of minorities, vulnerable section, right? ये तो देखते ही हम लोग अपने स्टेट में, right? Prolonged pre-trials, because there will be a less scope of what? Bail application and all, right? Then detention, transparency and public trust will be eroded, right? International human rights obligation, right? It will be violated. So from international level point of view, we also have to see. So these are the various aspects of civil liberties. Now, just imagine if any question comes on the violation of your fundamental right. Don't you think you can include all these? Right? Based on these template, you can generate n number of points. How many points you can generate? Just look at it. Right? Otherwise, how many points you were able to recall? 1 or 2? 3 max to max. Fourth point, I'm sure it will be the mix of 1, 2 and 3 all. Right? Or maybe the duplication of, because many of us, we try to bluff. I have seen that when I used to evaluate the copies 4, 5 years back. So this is the idea, right? Now, since this is a very critical issue, we cannot ignore the national security. At the same time, we cannot ignore the individual rights. So for that, we have to provide the balanced approach, right? So how we are going to provide the balanced approach? Legal safeguards, clear definition of jurisdiction, parliamentary oversight, judicial supervision, state center coordination, periodic review of mechanism, and training and accountability. One thing I want to just let you know, whenever you are talking about periodic review mechanism, I have seen this problem in many answers. Even if you are veterans, still you are writing these kind of points. आप खाली इतना लिख दोगे periodic review mechanism. Do you think this is a complete statement, complete point? How? Can anyone tell me how? हाँ, periodic review mechanism through the formation of some committee. Yes, very good. Oversight committee with judicial member, because judicial member will be at better position to check whether your liberty, whether your rights are being violated or not, right? With judicial members. Always remember one thing: judicial supervision, fast track court, and all we can talk about. But what I'm trying to say, in suggestions, I have seen this is a common problem. Never ever write open-ended statement. never make sure your suggestions sounds practical, right? Writing just this these three words does not sound how it is practical. So when I'm going to add this by formation of committee with a judicial member, this gives the feeling, yes, it is practical solution, right? So in suggestion, never ever use open-ended statement. Always substantiate with example, right? Now, the last part, while empowering NIA reinforces India's internal security architecture, it must be matched with procedural fairness, federal consultation, and institutional safeguard to uphold democratic values. As B.R. Ambedkar warned, the security of nation must not mean insecurity of citizen. Security of nation does not mean, or security of nation must not mean insecurity of citizen, right? So this phrase we can use. I hope this is clear. And today is the second day, so we are going into the depth of the discussion. That is the reason it's taking time. But as we move onwards or forward, that we will take less time, because this is the basics. I want you to apply these steps. That is the reason we are discussing each and everything. But if you are not going to practice at home, no matter if I continue this discussion for 3 hours, it will not help. आधे घंटे बाद आपको भूल जाना है ये सब, right? So please go whenever you go back, then please practice it. 5-10 questions. Now Shatakshi ma'am will take the discussion forward. So please, Shatakshi. So whatever the doubt you will have, you can ask me later. Or yes, one announcement I want to make. If you really want, like if you have any issues at individual level, if you are facing any problem in answer writing PYQ, then we are sitting in 7B Vajiram building near gate number 5. You can bring your answer or notes and you can discuss whatever the problem you are facing. Okay. So thank you. Jaideep, you can drop a message. I think from portal.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible till the last? Okay. So we'll start with the fourth question. Let me read the question. Interstate river disputes underscores the need for a strengthened adjudication mechanism. This is the statement. Now, examine the constitutional provisions for adjudicating water disputes and assess whether existing mechanisms ensure fair and sustainable resource allocation. Again, 250 words, 15 marker question. The process is same like I mentioned yesterday. So firstly, reading the question carefully and underlining the keywords. So tell me what are the keywords here. Okay, one. Second. Third, constitutional provisions. Next. What? Fourth is existing mechanisms, and the last one is fair and sustainable resource allocation. So here I've mentioned interstate river disputes, adjudication mechanism, constitutional provisions, existing mechanism, fair and sustainable resource allocation. Whatever answer we write, whatever structure we create, these need to be reiterated every time. Okay. So understanding the demand of the question, second thing. Now tell me what is the demand of the question? Anyone? Yes. Yes. Okay. 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 One thing that you missed, anybody else? Hmm. Definitely. Yes, but one thing you both are missing. Yes. This is good, but the core demand is already existing mechanisms. What are the problem with those? We need new mechanism, that is good, but there are already existing mechanisms and there are already constitutional provisions. Despite these, there are interstate interstate river water disputes. So why those disputes when we already have mechanisms? What are the problem with these mechanisms? That is the core demand, and then you have to uh, we have to assess what is the problem with these mechanisms. And since it is examining, and yesterday also I said way forward is important. How can we strengthen them? The first statement itself states that need for a strengthened adjudication mechanism. So by firstly telling what are the existing mechanisms, what is the problem with those, and then coming to what new, what should be the way forward, how can it be strengthened. That is the core demand of the question. So now let's see. Anybody has any doubt in this process? Any new student who was not yesterday or anybody? No? So can I proceed to the body structure then? Okay. 15 to 17 points and 15 marker. Okay, remember that. Uh, examine portion. Okay. Examine the critical directive. You have to examine, evaluate the strengths and the limitations, and at last you have to give a certain way forward. Examine, it's not a descriptive directive, it's a critical directive. So you have to critically analyze. It's that kind of directive. Yes, both positive. The tone of the question is essentially negative. The tone of the question is not positive, it's negative. What are the limitations of the existing mechanisms? So it will definitely be very critical. So firstly, let's do the introduction. Then I'll come to the body structure. Introduction templates. अभी तो आपने देख लिया, but anybody with a good introduction? What introduction you all have written? Somebody can tell me. You. What introduction you have written? Okay. Article. Okay. Good. Anybody else? Very good. Very good. Okay, so you have started with mechanisms. Mechanisms is a part of the question, but the core is interstate river water dispute. You need to start with that. So you need to be very cover the whole demand. You have just covered adjudicating mechanism by mentioning judiciary. You have to cover it holistically. The keywords are mentioned here. These keywords must be form the essence of your introduction. All these keywords not directly but indirectly, in essence, must form a part of the introduction. This should be reflected in your introduction and then also in conclusion. Okay, because it introduces your answer, what you are going to say now, and in conclusion also it just sums up your answer. So introduction and conclusion, keep the underlining these and finding out the keywords is important for introduction and conclusion. Main body, it is definitely important, but for introduction and conclusion, it is non-negotiable. The essence of these keywords need to be reflected there. So that can be reflected by currently whatever disputes are there. This will show there are interstate river water disputes, and do mention one constitutional article. It will show despite these articles, these disputes are existing. So it covered the whole essence of what the question is asking you by giving the constitutional provision as well as the existing disputes. There are n number of disputes. You can pick up any river water dispute what you have heard or read in the newspaper. So by writing these two, you will cover, you will in essence show what is the question is demanding, and that you understand what needs to be written. So now we are done with the introduction. Now let's move to body structure. So what will be the body structure? How will we proceed? How many subparts, parts will be there? Anyone? Constitutional provisions first. Existing mechanism. Resolve that. Very good. So that is it. I have broken down the question like this. Constitutional provisions for adjudicating water disputes and other existing mechanisms, legal and institutional. Existing mechanisms, there it has written existing mechanisms along with constitutional provisions. So you need to write constitutional provisions plus other existing mechanisms that are legal and institutional. One thing I will tell you, whenever there is a question related to conflict resolution or conflict management in paper 2 or paper 3, like terrorism or disaster management, there are the questions are of nature of conflict resolution and conflict management. As in as a civil servant, what we have to face. So these kind of question test how do you approach conflict resolution. So whenever conflict resolution question is there, search or the template would be, I don't like to say template, but the framework of the answer would be the how to resolve those conflicts within constitutional framework. What are the articles or anything related to that in the constitution? Secondly, what are the legal frameworks? For example, for disaster management, the constitutional framework is the disaster entry under any list, it must be there. Secondly, the legal provision, disaster management act. And thirdly, there would be an institutional provision. There would be some institution like National Disaster Management Authority. So whenever a question related to conflict resolution comes, which is this particular question, these three things need to be there. Okay. So constitutional provisions, legal provisions, and institutional provisions in the existing mechanisms. Existing mechanisms, the question says here, yes, assess whether existing mechanisms ensure fair and sustainable resource allocation. So you have to be a little optimistic. It says constitutional provisions. It is in constitution. You have to show some merit there. Okay. So the second part which I have written here, the existing mechanisms are good. You don't need to address this separately. Club these two together. Okay. Whenever you are showing the constitutional provisions, write 1-2 words which shows the merit. Okay. So these one and second, these will form one part of your answer, main body. The second part would be the existing mechanisms, not fair and sustainable. See, I'm using the keywords from the question itself. What this ensures is that your answer is in a particular direction. You don't deviate from the demand of the question. And secondly, the examiner knows, okay, you are answering. Here you can also write the existing mechanisms are insufficient. Existing mechanisms are limited. But no, when you write this not fair and sustainable by using the keywords from the question, it gives a direction to your answer. And it will ensure that examiner knows what you are answering. Okay. And the answer does not look templated because different answers, different questions will have different keywords. And when you use those keywords, Varna, you will only use the challenges issues. Next answer, challenges issues. No. Use keywords from the question to form your heading. Okay, heading is important. I always say this. Need, the last would be need for a strengthened adjudication mechanism. This also came from the question, the first line of the question. The way forward, you could also have written way forward, but writing the need for a strengthened adjudication mechanism, it will show that you are answering the question. You're just not putting out your notes. What we do, what problem sometimes we face is that whenever we have something in our notes, we directly replicate it in the copy. No, we have to just modify those notes to suit the demand of the question. You have to curtail an answer, not present your notes in the answer. This also happens in optional and other subjects as well. So whatever your notes are, just tailor it according to the need of the question. Okay, so that will happen by forming a good heading and then using keywords repetitively what are mentioned in the question. So now first part of the question, constitutional provisions and other existing mechanisms, free and sorry, free, जो भी keyword I think I have fair and sustainable. Okay, fair and sustainable. Firstly, constitutional, Article 262, entry 17 of state list, that is water. Then entry 56 of union list, that is interstate river water management. Then legal, Interstate Water Dispute Act, River Boards Act. Institutional, legislature, legislature, which forms these acts. Judiciary, under Article 136, special leave of appeal. Whenever a dispute is not being awarded or there is a dispute regarding award of the tribunal, the Supreme Court can take the case to itself. So judiciary is related that way. Tribunals under Interstate Water Dispute Act and river boards under River Boards Act. So you have covered all the existing mechanisms. Okay. So first part of the question is being addressed here in 3 points. Yes. Then next, existing mechanisms are not fair and sustainable. So firstly, whatever existing mechanisms, just state their limitations, the constitutional limitation, the legal limitation, and the institutional limitation. Okay. So what is the constitutional limitation? That is, there is ambiguity in its nature. There is entry 56 and there is entry 17. Who will govern in what case? There is no clearly objective criteria. And then under Article 136, Supreme Court can also take the cases. The decision of the tribunal is not final. These are the constitutional ambiguities. The existing mechanism and what problem is being faced due to these constitutional mechanisms. Then legal mechanism, the River Boards Act. No river boards has been created yet. The act is there since 1956, but no river boards has been. What the work of river boards is the management, that dispute does not arise. In conflict management, what happens is the first stage is to prevent the conflict, the preventive. Interstate Water Dispute Tribunal is a curative step that comes later. So you have to focus on preventive as well as curative aspects. That is also one of the. आवाज नहीं आ रही है? Am I audible? अब जा रही है? Okay. So no river boards has been created yet, which should be a preventive step in resolving these conflicts before they arise. Okay. Next, institutional. Delay in tribunal decision. The case goes on for years and there is delay in awarding the decision, and the problems are being faced by the local communities, farmers, and the agriculture sector and other stakeholders. Okay. So there are multiple institutions, judiciary, legislature, the tribunals. So there is no one cohesive thing there. Okay. And in legal, one thing also you can mention, there was some amendment proposed to ISWD Act in 2019 that was delayed and that is still not passed. So you can mention that too. Here. Next, institutional is done. Now here we can again, the points are less. So now you can give the pestle approach again. Political, then this is technological, data opacity, then social, it is an emotive issue, the environmental issue. How? Data opacity, there is no proper data. Proper data and portal could be created, that what is the flow of the river, in what, how much it flows, in what area, and all those kind of hydrological data needs to be created. Politicization of the issue. The issue is being politicized by different states for vote bank politics and vested interest. Be very cautious when you write such statements, because you cannot blatantly criticize any government, state government or central. Then it becomes an emotive issue. Rivers are being considered sacred in the country, so it becomes an emotive issue for the people. Then lastly, it is an environmental issue. Dredging and the sand mining, these kind of alter the flow of the river, which further fuels this dispute.
So you can just using the template, firstly in conflict resolution, the constitutional, legal, institutional. Second template that we have used is again the pestle approach. Okay, and mixed match. Here I've shown, yesterday I said that prioritization of points. Here I have prioritized the points. The most important being constitution, and the last emotive issue or environmental, you can just make a decision what should be the last. So this is the specimen how you have to prioritize your points. Okay, so everybody is clear with this. Now the last part, need for a strengthened adjudicating mechanism. How? Again, when we write way forward, the first template that is always there, committee recommendations. If you know about any committee, like there is a Mihir Shah committee on national, which has recommended National Water Commission for Water Policy Planning. Again, a preventive measure, how to prevent these disputes. Okay. Sarkaria Commission, second ARC, some suggestion and recommendation might be there. You can search that. This is a very static topic. It has been in news since years. So this needs to be a part of your notes. A proper. I will show you a snippet of my notes, how you have to prepare notes for such issues which are being running since 10 years in news. Again, for second template is best practices at national level and then at international level. National level, we have GST Council model, where there is pooled sovereignty between center and states, and amicably the disputes are resolved. Second, the international. Collect some good case studies, like here I have mentioned Germany. In Germany, there is working group of federal states to maintain uniformity in water management practices. Okay. Third, better since the question was talking about existing mechanisms, so we don't have to do away with the existing mechanisms, we have to improve the existing mechanisms. So next point would be better utilization of existing mechanisms. For example, the river boards can be created, and other existing mechanisms like interstate council, which have been lying dormant, can be more effectively used. Last template is in way forward. One thing which you can do is, when you don't know the answer to some questions, you have mentioned some points in significance in issues, you can reverse the issues. If you don't have any committee recommendation, if you don't have any best practices, what you can do is reverse the issues. Whatever issues you have written, just write something opposite of that. Right there I wrote that there is opacity in hydrological data. Here you can write there should be more transparency in hydrological data. Second, it was delay in tribunal decision. The decisions could be fastened. This is a very easy approach when you do not have the points for way forward, because many of you might not have these committee recommendations and these best practice, but you should have. This is a very current issue and very static issue as well. So have proper notes for this topic. Now, conclusion. The code-based conclusion are good. I have written 2 conclusions here. PM's call for, if the center and all the states come together and work together like Team India, no goal is impossible. If you do not remember such quotes or something, as sir also mentioned, what you can do is you can tell, if we follow these things, what will happen next? No goal will be impossible. You can draft a very good flowery worded or some simple worded statement which you can write yourself, that what will happen, what will accrue if we follow these recommendations. So if you don't remember these quotes, you can form a very good statement, a very optimistic, or what we call is futuristic quote there itself. I have written 2. You can refer to these. Rivers are a shared heritage of our country. They should be the strings that unite us and not the strings that divide us. Former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. See, these are my notes. Interstate river water dispute, which I made last year. So how these notes have to be made? First, I wrote 2 quotes. Okay. Rivers are shared heritage and other water conflict, something related to that. Okay, that how will I introduce the answer? Your notes should be in a form that whenever you're making notes now, just have a picture in mind. If a question comes of this nature or from this topic, how will I proceed with that? So firstly, I write introduction, some 2-3 quotes or some good keywords that I would be using in the introduction, because it will help me not to keep devolve much time over there, and something is ready made with me. Then the constitutional position, again a conflict management issue. So I had constitutional position. It has this water, entry 17, article 262. The legal position, all these I just tailored and made it into an answer. These are the notes. This is I'm showing to tell you there's a difference between an answer and notes. These are notes, and that was an answer tailored to address the demand of the question. Is it visible, or I should just zoom it? It's visible, no? Yes. Phone, it's not zooming. Yes. Okay. So is it visible now? So constitutional position, and you can take an idea from this because it's very cluttered writing, so you won't understand. I'm just giving you an idea. I'll just read this out. The constitutional position, the legal position, ISWD Act, River Boards Act. I've written very shortly, and these have been tailored for your answers. Okay. Next, again, this ISWD Act 2019, the bill which was not passed. Second, reasons for these interstate river water disputes. Okay, here I have written reasons and in issues format. There I have criticized the existing mechanisms by using these points only. You will see historical and geographical ambiguities. This point I have not mentioned there. Constitutional ambiguities, it was there. Legal ambiguities, it was there. Institutional ambiguities, there are multiple institutions. Who is to administer what is not, there is no clarity. Then there's something for value addition. I've written 3 stresses: federal principle, food security. Yes, environment and food security dimension also could be used here. Approach, lack of integrated ecosystem approach, and arithmetical hydrological approach is more prioritized. This is some value addition points. Again, issues I've written: legal and governance issues. What is this? Political issues, socio-economic issues, that it is emotive issue that you saw there. Environmental issues, climate change, deficit monsoon. Now, committees. This is how the answer would be. You will have to tell the significance, issues, and then how to improve that. So, committee recommendations: Sakaria Commission, Second ARC, Mihir Shah Committee, best practices, Germany, Australia, and this is National GST Council model. Way forward, committee recommendation is a part of way forward, but I've written something here as well. Dr. Srinivas Chokakula, I might have come across this in the Hindu or somewhere. So this is it. This is how you need to prepare some basic notes of questions which are recurring in nature. These themes you will get when you analyze previous year questions and you're thorough with the current affairs, the newspaper reading for the past. You have been reading newspaper for prelims, so just be thorough. Create some themes out of that. Now, any problem with the previous question? Okay, so we'll proceed to the next question. Question 5. Special category status embodies fiscal federalism and regional aspirations. This is the statement which is telling you the issue and the context. And now, examine its criteria and significance in India's resource distribution framework. Okay, so now, again, going through the process, we read the question. Now we'll underline the keywords. What are the keywords? Please tell me. 1, special category status. Then, second, fiscal federalism. Then, third, regional aspirations. Then, criteria, significance, and resource distribution. These 6. Special category, yes, resource distribution. I haven't listed. Okay. So these are the main keywords of the question. Okay. Understanding the demand of the question. What is the demand of the question? Anybody can tell me? Yes. That is the context. I am asking about the demand. What the question is demanding. The context, you understood that Andhra Pradesh and Bihar. Okay. What is the question demanding from you?
Recommendation, there is no other special category in respect of that, 35% to 42%, the rise of the funds.
Yes. Yes, why special category status? What is special category status? That is firstly demanded from you. You know what is special category status and what is the criteria of selecting the states for special category status. And okay, okay. And the third? Okay. One thing. Since the question says examine, it is telling positively ki, special category status, it is good for fiscal federalism and regional aspirations. But since it says examine, you need to examine whether the statement is 100% true. Whether this positivity which is being shown with this statement relevant. So when you examine, you will also find the flip side of it. What is the flip side? What is the issues associated with giving the states the special category status? There is a reason the first, I think 14th Finance Commission, this got done away with. Okay, some finance commission recommended it in 1969, and then it was done away with in 14th Finance Commission. Yes, so the context is the Andhra Pradesh and Bihar issue, and the demand of the question is what is the merit of this special category status that it is being demanded, and second, what is the demerit, what is the limitation, what problems that it will create. That is the hidden demand of the question through this tailored examine. Okay, previous question, the tone of the question was negative. We knew we have to show how this conflict will be resolved, and this is an issue. Here it is telling you that it is good. Now you must examine, is it good? So now we'll examine that. Firstly, introduction templates. What will be a good introduction? Article 371. Okay. Yes, very good. Context. Whenever you know the context, there will be some questions where you don't know the context. Okay, most of the questions you will know, but there will be some questions you don't know the context. You miss the news, you could not follow it up, so you miss the context. So, but when you know the context, here many of you know this is Andhra Pradesh and Bihar case. Okay, so when you know that, use that to draft your answer. Use that along with the keywords which you have just found out. Use it and draft it accordingly to create a very good introduction. So now, contextual demand from Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. Okay, historical basis. Yes, this is also one of the template. Evolution. Whenever something comes up, like for example, Panchayati Raj institutions or some questions which have evolved over the years. Panchayati Raj institution, it came in 1990s. It got evolved from the DPSP. Then various committees were formed, and then it eventually came. And then there are issues. It is evolutionary in nature. When there are some questions which are evolutionary in nature, that evolution you can show it in the introduction as well. So you can show the evolution from 1969 Gutgill formula. When it was recommended for the first time, it was recommended in 1969. Now the debate has been fired up again. The frenzy has been created due to demand from Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. So you can mix and match these two. Or other than that, this contextual and historical basis will either cover the question, or now you can use good keywords either, like asymmetric federalism, Indian federal. This is again the constitutional template, the ideals on which the constitution is based. Yesterday I said that in that question, liberty and fraternity, the ideals. One of the ideals is federalism, and not the exact federalism but quasi federalism. So a better word for quasi federalism is asymmetric federalism. There are horizontal and vertical imbalances in Indian federalism. Okay, the powers between center and state differs, and powers between states only differ. That is horizontal asymmetry. So asymmetric federalism, you can use these. The recent cases emerging from Bihar and Andhra Pradesh highlight the asymmetric federalism feature of our Indian constitution. This you can mix and match. Last, Supreme Court judgment. Supreme Court in some case, Rajasthan versus Union of India, said Indian constitution is an amphibian constitution. It is again a fancy term for quasi-federal or something like that. So just don't go from one approach, just writing the definition or just writing the context. If you just write the context, there is demand arising from Andhra Pradesh and Bihar, so what? This cannot be the conclusion, introduction. You have to mix it with either constitutional basis or some evolutionary basis to make it more impactful. It will be relevant if you write only Bihar and Andhra Pradesh in introduction, but it will be less impactful, I would say, and not cover the demand of the question holistically. So make sure that you mix and match the context with some other templates to make it very impactful. Of this debate, definitely you can use that. Just mix it with, that is again the context. Where did it go? It is again the context. You can mix it with asymmetric federalism or amphibian constitution or the Gutgill formula. Anything, whatever you know, when you know the context, it is very good. Either this Bihar or Andhra Pradesh or any particular that funds you are saying, whatever it is, just mix it with something other to make it look more mature. Okay, you're not just writing an article for newspaper. What happened today? what happened today and why is it happening, that you understand the depth and maturity of the issue. Okay, you just need not write the news. When you write this, it will look like you're writing a news, but when you write it with this, it will show that you're writing about an issue. There is a difference between news and issue. When we read today's newspaper, we read news, but we understand what is the issue with that. For example, the governor issue. Tamil Nadu governor did something today. That is the news. But the conflict between chief minister and governor happening in the states recently is the issue. So in the context, you don't need to write news, you need to write the issue. Okay, now the body structure. What will be the structure of the answer? Tell me the parts under which you will write the points. Tell me the first part. What will be the first heading under which you will write points? Yes. Yes, criteria for selecting the states. First part, that would be. Second part would be the significance, and the third part. No, I mentioned in the beginning. Yes, limitations. Examine. I said examine. You have to examine whether the merit of the statement. Okay, is it really good? The demand of special category status. If we give special category status, will it be all rosy, or will there be some problems? There will be some problems. That would be the next part of your question. The issues and problems. Since it is not mentioned directly, you can keep it short, but you need to mention it. Okay, some 4 points it deserves, because the question is examine. And the last point, again, it is hidden, way forward. Please write way forward. If it is not asked directly, just write 2 points by making that hub and spoke model or anything, but please write way forward. If it is asked directly, mention 4-5 points. If it is not, please write 2 points. Okay. And lastly, there will be conclusion. Okay, the body structure. These first two, the answer will start from here. Why I have written this, I will tell you. This is from the statement that was mentioned here. His special category status embodies fiscal federalism and regional aspirations, and these were also the keywords. So this you need to keep in mind, because these two things need to be reflected all over here. Okay, that's why I've mentioned it separately. So first part would be criteria. So remember these things. Embodies fiscal federalism. Keep in your mind, what does fiscal federalism means to you? Just income distribution between states, economic stability, and efficient and effective resource utilization. This will give you a way to think and what keywords to write in the points for criteria. Criteria, we know it's a factual question. What is the criteria? You need to write directly. But when you remember, the question initially asked, told you about fiscal federalism and regional aspirations. Then what will happen? These things will get reflected in your criteria, in your significance, in your issues, and then in your way forward. And it will just enrich your answer. So whatever the statement is written at the start of the answer, that will not form your body structure, but that needs to be kept in mind. You need to have clarity about that statement, why it is written so. So embodies fiscal federalism. What it means to me, I have written here: just income distribution, economic stability, efficient and effective resource allocation. It is very simple. You will also, if you think, if you sit for brainstorming, you can just write it, what fiscal federalism means to you. Then what regional aspiration means to me: addressing development deficit, for example, Bihar. Promises made during bifurcation, Andhra Pradesh. Thirdly, geographical reasons, for that is international borders and hilly terrains. It qualifies for the northeastern states and the western states. Okay. So now the main demand of the question: criteria for special category status. Okay. Now it is a factual question. Sometime it will happen. Some of you might know what were the criteria. Some of you might not know what was the criteria. So just think, if you have to make a policy for some things, for some giving special packages to some states, what criteria will you take? You will not take the highly developed state. I will give special category status to Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu or some highly developed states. You will not do that. You will have some criteria and objective criteria in mind, what states need to be given. So even if you do not know what was the criteria of the Gadgil Commission, you can just write, you can generate these points. Hilly and difficult terrain, that will definitely create development problem. low population density and tribal majority areas. Tribal majority areas, that keep in mind the subaltern sections of the society, the vulnerable sections of the society, and you will be able to generate the points. Tribal majority. Strategic location along international borders. Then economic and infrastructural backwardness. Bihar, you know the news of Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. Bihar, you know, because there is development deficit there. Andhra Pradesh, the promises were made during bifurcation. Okay, so non-viable state finances, when the state cannot manage its own finances and there is some issues there. So this was a very factual question which you either know and you don't know. When you don't know, then also you have to write the answer. You cannot leave the question blank or not address the demand of the question. So just generate some points. If you can't be specific, you can be vague and you can give examples to extend your point. Hilly terrains, for example, Meghalaya and the northeastern states. So you can give examples and generate points. Now, significance in India's resource distribution framework. Again, constitutional approach, pestle approach, and syllabus mapping approach. Now, I will show you how to generate points from these. Okay, so constitutional approach, again, the basics of the constitution, the basic principles that the constitution is based on. Quasi-federal nature, horizontal asymmetry, and DPSP, that calls for decentralization of wealth against the concentration of wealth. So that qualifies for these resource distribution and special category status. So you can use that principle over here. What is the significance of this framework? Now, the pestle approach. Political satisfaction to the states, for example, to Andhra Pradesh, the promises that were made during bifurcation, if it is fulfilled, there is more political closeness and fraternity between the people of that state and their national integration. That can be ensured. Economic empowerment, like for example Bihar, the more infrastructure, social infrastructure, physical infrastructure, digital infrastructure can be created by these special packages, and it can compete with the more relatively developed states. Social inclusion of the people, when there is investment in social infrastructure, education, health, the social inclusion is ensured. Compensating for different geographies against the hilly terrain. These things will reflect here again. Now, syllabus mapping approach. This was my favorite approach. I use this the most in my mains. Okay. Whenever I did not know answer to any question, I just used to remember from paper 1 to paper 3. I just used to scan what are different topics where where the topics from those can be used to create a point. So now here, governance. This is a question of polity. Now, governance. If we have better packages for certain state, the governance could be improved. Digital infrastructure could be roped in. There could be more transparency, e-government. For example, there is Kerala. It is a developed state, and their Kerala fiber optic network, first e-state, and lot of development in digital governance is happening in Kerala because it's a developed state and it's heavily investing in its governance. So what will happen is, if this happens, their better governance could be ensured. Then social infrastructure. There is a topic in GS2, social justice. That could also be ensured. For hilly terrain, you can take clue from disaster management from paper 3. Disaster management could be improved in hilly terrain areas which face a lot. There's a lot of news about floods and landslides happening in some difficult geographies that you can bring out here. Okay, so this is how you create points, by syllabus mapping. Scan the syllabus, learn the syllabus by heart. Paper 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 you can use interchangeably. This is called cross fertilization of content. You're using content from paper 1 in paper 3, you're using content from paper 3 in paper 2. This is how you generate points when you don't know anything. And what happens in questions when you don't know anything about, now you write that question very fast. I'm a slow writer, I mentioned yesterday also. But when you know the answer, what a tendency is to devote more time. We know more things, we have everything in our notes, and we, like the best student, we write the best answer, and it takes a lot of time. But in certain questions, when we don't know the answer, it's foolishness to devote more time to that. It will just make you create a more panicky situation. So devote less time, map the syllabus in your mind, and generate points and write some generic points. It will happen in 4, 5, 6 answers. I'm telling you this approach for those answers. आई थिंक ये चेंज हो गया. हाँ, चेंज हो गया. सर वाला वो है, हमारा नहीं है. Discussion day 2. So here we were, significance. So significance is addressed by these three approaches. Okay. Now the concerns. Again, constitutional approach and pestle approach, syllabus mapping approach. Now issues, you can mention it. The question says examine. You need to write 4 points minimum by examining what is the problem that can accrue with this. Firstly, there is no constitutional framework. Again, conflict management, constitutional, legal, institutional. 3 things need to be there. There is no constitutional framework for this. There is no legal backing for this. There was just recommendations of Finance Commission. There is no legal backing to these criteria. Okay. Then from the constitution talks about right to equality. What about the equality of the states? Okay, so that you can use. Bargaining federalism, again a keyword. It is federalism is the basic feature of constitution. Just use chat gpt or anything and find out some good keywords related to federalism. This is the core topic from your syllabus from paper 2. Federalism, separation of powers, judiciary. So just have some good keywords that you can repetitively use. So bargaining, it accrues to bargaining federalism, which can create an issue. From pestle approach, again, political bargaining. Different states will bargain now, and it will use it for vested interest and vote bank politics, so something like that. Economic burden. More economic burden will be created on the union, which is already burdened with a lot of finances. Fiscal equivalence. This is a principle of fiscal federalism, wherein for example, a state like Tamil Nadu, if it is contributing 1 rupee to the union government, what it is getting is, I think, around 10 or 12 paise back for that. And states like Bihar, the underdeveloped states, for every 1 rupee they are contributing, they are getting some 1.5 or 2, or I don't remember the exact figure, but something more than what Tamil Nadu is getting. So that is understandable because they are at different levels of development, but that creates a political dissatisfaction among the states which are doing well and contributing more. So it creates a problem with regard to fiscal equivalence. And next, conflictual, again, federalism, one more keyword, conflictual federalism. You can create a point out of that, give an example there. Syllabus mapping. Again, from governance, there is schemes and policies of union government. There is a topic in paper 2. So you can write, it will incentivize bad policies. For example, distribution of the freebies. You can use the freebies here. From the RPA section, elections is also a part of your paper 2. You can use that and bring out that they will use it to distribute freebies or something like that. It will incentivize bad policies. You can generate points through syllabus mapping. I've given one example. You can think of many. Lastly, way forward, you need to write. Now you have, why is way forward important when it is not directly asked? Because when you have shown the concerns, it is your duty to show how these concerns will be resolved. After concerns, if you directly conclude the answer, where is your conflict management skills? You need to show that you are good at conflict resolution. That's why way forward is very important. So committee recommendations, I have read about some NK Singh committee, which gave broad principles of fiscal federalism. There I read fiscal equivalence. So you can Google such committees. Raghuram Rajan committee, there it mentioned about these things. There should be some composite index or something like that. Then reverse the concerns again. If you don't have committee recommendations, whatever concerns you wrote, just reverse them. Dynamic criteria. There is no criteria. There is no constitutional basis. Create a criteria. Don't use the exact same words. You can use different words to reverse those points. So there I wrote the point. There is no constitutional backing. There is no legal backing. Here, you can create a dynamic criteria with a composite index. It does not look like that you have reversed a point. You have created a new point. But what actually you have done, you have taken a clue from there and reversed that point. Secondly, using existing forums for discussion between states. Niti Aayog, Interstate Council. Interstate Council I also used in previous answer. I have used it again because there is a less possibility that 2 questions will come from the federalism topic. Whenever a topic related to federalism comes, it is a very safe bet. I used to do this. I used to write Interstate Council everywhere whenever a question related to federalism comes, that you can use that council. You can use that council because every now and then there is a news that it is being lying dormant, it is not being used effectively. So that you can do. Lastly, the conclusion. Again, either keyword based, cooperative and competitive federalism, we need to create a blend or something like that. Just sum up the question and you by using these keywords. That you need to do very smartly. Introduction and conclusion, it must sum up the demand of the question, the theme and essence of the question. Secondly, code based. Federalism is no longer fourth line of center state relations, but the definition of new partnership of Team India. Team India, Team India. Whenever a question related to federalism comes, you can just use this Team India theme. Okay, just collect some good quotes and good keywords for these basic topics, the topics mentioned in your syllabus, because there is no paucity of content, firstly, and secondly, even if you do not have content, you can generate points. Okay, you can think, you can cross fertilize from paper 1, from paper 3, or anything you can do. But these things for introduction and conclusion, just collect some good 2 3 only, I'm saying, not much, because what will happen if you collect 50 quotes, you will not be able to use it even at 10 places. But if you collect 10 good quotes and keywords, you will be able to use it at 50 different places, okay, across the papers. So just collect some good quotes, 1 2, like I showed my notes to you, there are only 2 quotes I have written and I used both of these here. Okay, so that you need to do for the basic topics. Just collect some good quotes. There's no time, some few of you were asking, there's no time for notes making. Definitely there's no time for notes making. Study whatever you have, but for every topic, just get a good set of keywords and quotes from sir mentioned PIB or from anywhere you feel comfortable. Even if you feel comfortable from ChatGPT, do it from there only. But few good quotes or good material you need to collect, some Supreme Court judgments or anything that you could use. For example, if a question comes on basic structure doctrine, last year or somewhere I read the basic structure is North Star of Indian Constitution. Any question comes related to that, I write that only. I can remember because there was only one quote related to basic structure. Okay, so these things you can do. Just brainstorm whenever you see your notes, whenever you read anything anywhere, just generate a question in your mind. What if a question comes from this topic? What will I write? And what you recall at that moment, that you will recall in your test series and then in the main exam also. So whenever you're reading, read your notes in question and answer format. Generate few, become an examiner, just generate few questions for yourself. If you're PYQs and generate question for yourself and brainstorm. Okay, so that is it. Thank you. If any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, thank you.